everybody, and thanks for joining me today. So again, working more on the darker feathers on the wing. Today I'm going to be working more from the bottom up than the top down. The stripes are all going this way, so yeah. I'm going to work sort of somewhat from the bottom up and sort of down, and then the next strip down and the next strip down, and so on like that. So yeah, so I'll probably set these ones aside for now. Don't have too many to try to deal with at once. Yeah, it is still smoky out here. A few communities in our province have had to be evacuated. Thankfully, we have not. We haven't since I've lived here. Knock on wood, which is, yeah, coming on to 18 years now. We just don't have enough forest around us for it to be a big risk for us here, so we've been very fortunate. And the house we bought sits on a little bit of a hill. Like, it wouldn't count as a hill, but it is enough of an incline that we don't really flood either. So yeah, we've been very fortunate. Really all we're at risk for is tornadoes, which we've had a couple of warnings over the years, but thankfully none have gotten close enough to us. So yeah, so I apologize in advance. I may not be as talkative today. Throat is still a bit sore. I'm fighting something off. And yeah, I'm hoping I don't need to go see the doctor. We'll see if it gets better on its own. I'm going to give it a few days. And then, yeah, if it doesn't clear up, I'll go then. Yeah, so I kind of have to go back to bed again for another hour this morning because I was just so tired. Yeah, didn't sleep well. Oh dear. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I did warn you. But I'm well enough to still stitch, at least for like an hour, so figured I will do that. Goodness. It's having a hard time finding the right spot there. So yeah, I had someone ask if we're going to get to the second bird this month, but I don't think so. Yeah, I think I've only got one more session after this, and I would have to be well into the pale part of his wings to get to that. So I'd say that's for next month. Yeah. That'll be kind of nice. Little sort of pop of the bright blues again. And then I think the month after is when we will get into the tail feathers again, my favorite part. Yeah, was not happy because I went back to bed and then my landline rang and it was a scam call. Yeah. And it was an auto dialer too, right? So, yeah. Yeah, there was one going around where they claim to be from Revenue Canada and say that you have fee or fees or fines, I should say, to pay, and then say that you can pay with gift cards. Yeah. So, of course, they have people go and buy one and give them the codes on the phone. And gift cards are basically, they're untraceable, right? And I was like, wow, it's hard to believe people fall for that because, I mean, yeah, if you really did have fines, I mean, I would imagine they would send you a notice by mail, but even if they didn't, they're not going to have you pay it with gift cards, right? Like, I've never heard of a government agency accepting gift cards for like, you know, parking or speeding tickets or anything like that, right? So, yeah. Oh man, it was wild. My husband, he got a speeding ticket before he met me in Ontario. That was where he was when he was on basic training in the military. And he thought he had paid it. And apparently he hadn't. And they managed to track us down like 10 years later. It was just wild. Yeah. In a different province after a decade. Yeah. Oh, he didn't have any points on his license or anything from it, but yeah. It was just nuts. I said, maybe it's because you have an unusual name. It's a Hungarian name. So here in Canada, it's not very common. Yeah. Nobody can pronounce it. So, from looking at it, unless you actually speak the language. So, yeah. Said though it sure helped to identify telemarketers because yeah, they totally stumble over it. Okay. So a little bit of bigger blocks. That's one reason why I'm following the colors. It means I can sort of do more stitches in a row of the same color and not before I have to switch colors. But not too many that I get repetitive motion strain. Because yeah, that is one thing I have to be careful with the bigger areas of color. If I don't take enough breaks, then it can hurt, especially the next day. Yeah, it was interesting because I found one time I did like 800 stitches in one day and they were basically all of one color, and the next day my arms were killing me. And then another day I managed to do about 800 stitches, but they were of lots of different colors and my arms did not hurt. And I hypothesized that it was the breaks from stopping to change colors was enough to keep that from hurting. Okay. So yeah, I believe I have one more session, like I said, after this one, this month. So probably won't hit 41% because yeah, the last couple of days if I've been feeling off, I have not been able to stitch as much. Yeah, like a couple days ago, I think I only put in like 100 or so, and then yeah, my brain was just mush. It was getting to where I would probably make mistakes if I made myself keep stitching, and it would feel like a chore, not enjoyable because it was hard to concentrate. So yeah, I watched some mindless TV and played some mindless games on my phone. I wasn't tired enough to sleep, but yeah, I was too tired to concentrate on anything, even the least bit complex. So yeah, that is what I did. Yeah, it's the time of year where they announce which TV shows get renewed and which have been axed. So, yeah, there's been a few disappointments for me. We were enjoying the Quantum Leap reboot, which got 2 seasons. I don't know whether it was considered a reboot or they said maybe like a continuation. We never watched the original series that was like from the 70s, I think. But yeah, we were quite enjoying that, but they canceled it. I mean, I guess maybe that's one that probably cost a bit more to produce because he's traveling through time, so you have to do a lot of historical set dressing and building and stuff, right? Which can cost a bit more. So yeah, it's too bad. I was really enjoying that. Yeah. Yeah, and then NCIS Hawaii got axed, which I was disappointed because I was quite enjoying that. Oh, the CSI reboot that started 2 or 3 years ago, CSI Vegas. Yeah, they canceled that one too, which is a shame. Again, I was quite enjoying it. Yeah, and I just got the news that, well, they did renew the Law and Order Organized Crime, which is the one that they did starring Stabler, who was originally on SVU. They are moving it to the Peacock streaming only, and I'm not paying for that, so yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, it might as well be canceled because, yeah. Maybe one day, but right now, like I said, I subscribe to one at a time because I'm cheap, and we're working through the library on Disney Plus. So, yeah. There's quite a lot of stuff I've got saved to my watch list. So, I think we're going to be on that one for a couple of years before we switch to something else. So, yeah. Well, we mostly got it because all the Star Wars content is on there, especially a bunch of new stuff that we never hadn't seen. So, yeah, it went a while back, but we were subscribed to Prime then. So, yeah, there's quite a backlist built up now. Yeah, we're working our way through the animated Clone Wars, which we've been enjoying. Okay. 9:18. So I was wondering if I would make it to 125,000 completed this month, but that might be out of reach. We'll see. Like I said, one more session left. It sort of depends, I guess, how well I feel over the next few days as well. Yeah. Because normally I put in about 450 stitches in a day. But yeah, if I'm not feeling well, then obviously it's going to be a lot less than that. I don't think this color will last for this whole bit here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to start another. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, besides, it extends below this cutoff line, so I would need a new thread anyway, so no prob. I always hate it when I have like 2 stitches left and the thread is just not quite enough. Always a little frustrating, but Yeah, so I saw someone in a group that I'm in. They're doing a different style of parking where they start with like a square in the center and then they sort of start to spiral out from around it. So I said that's going to be cool to watch. Be interested to see it. Yeah, I did see one where someone was doing that like a diagonal way. They almost made like a pinwheel and then they were growing out from it. But after their initial post, I didn't see any more. And that was like a year ago. So I'm wondering if they abandoned that or not. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to see all the different ways people tackle these great big projects. Yeah, this is an old thread that was on a bobbin, so it isn't cut exactly the same length. It's a little bit shorter. Yeah. When I switched over to my envelope filing system, I unwound everything from bobbins too and put those in their own envelopes, but that means I couldn't do the where I folded in half 3 times to get exactly the same length pieces, so I just sort of guesstimated approximately that length, which is around 33 inches or so, because I use loop starts, so I double it. That leaves me around 16 to 18 inches of length, which is just right for me, I find. Yeah, just long enough that I don't have to keep starting new threads, but short enough that the thread doesn't get too worn and fuzzy and twisty. So yeah, if the lengths are too long, then all the pulling it through the fabric means it will get worn or knotted and stuff more easily, which you do not want. Yeah, hard to believe it's going to be time to do another monthly update pretty soon. Trying to remember where I was last month now. I think, yeah, I think I had just started the next pass. Maybe that was the month before, I'm not sure. This pass, but we'll see. Okay. Okay, put that there. That's long enough for one more stitch, so I start a new thread for those and then park it below. Or actually, no, park it in the very last row here, because I have to do another stitch or so around it before I can park it below. Well, I could skip if I wanted to, but I try not to, like I said. I try to make sure I don't close in on all 4 sides, and I always try to have the stitch I'm doing connected by at least one side to whatever is already stitched here. So yeah, I kind of am stitching diagonally in the opposite direction. Kind of, but not really. Okay. Oh, need another new strands. All of the ones there are short. Yeah, no word yet on whether the Canadian Law and Order has been renewed or not, but I've been enjoying that. It's a criminal intent style, so there's very little of any court. So far, they haven't shown like any court cases, just the investigation. Yeah, like they did with the original criminal intent spinoff. Original spinoff. That sounds like an oxymoron, huh? Ooh. But yeah, like they've had them talking to the DA a couple times, but that's about it. We haven't seen the inside of a courtroom at all. So it's slightly different format. It kind of delves more into the mind of the bad guy they're trying to catch and their motives. Yeah. More of like the psychological aspect of it, so. Sometimes when the hole is full of 3 other threads going through it, it can be hard to get it in the correct spot. Especially when you stitch with a lot of strands, yeah. Yeah, some people like a lot thicker to their work. And it's fine, I mean, it's your project. Stitch it how you want, but yeah. I don't know how people stitch with like 4 threads or something. That just seems like it would be fighting with my with my needle a lot, and I would not enjoy that. I don't mind if there's a little bit of fabric show through. Like somebody was saying, you're making an X over a square kind of by design. It's going to be hard to completely cover it. Yeah. And yeah, I personally don't mind if a little bit. They say when you wash it, the fibers sort of fluff up a bit and cover it. But yeah, also, I always say you're looking at the whole piece at once and not with your nose right up against it. So yeah. Because that's the problem. A lot of people, they're judging it while they're stitching it where, you know, you're like 3-4 inches away. Of course, you can see, you know, every little variation and whatever. Whereas, yeah, instead of when you step back and look at the whole thing, yeah, somebody said, like, hang it on the back of your couch and then step back, you know, because that's how you're going to be viewing it when it's finished. Now, that is weird. It wants to go on the wrong side, so I'm going to just come from the top. I find that sort of helps sometimes. Yeah, I was saying I didn't subscribe to Peacock, or there's Paramount as well. That, yeah, I haven't seen any of Yellowstone since the end of season 4 because we're cheap. So we just said we're going to wait for it to come out on DVD and buy it then. once the whole thing is out, because we wanted to own it anyway. So that is one nice thing, is Paramount does still release stuff on DVD. There's a lot of streaming platforms that they don't, because they want you to keep paying for it forever, right? So, but yeah. Netflix releases some of theirs. And yeah, Paramount still releases theirs. But yeah, they, in my opinion, made a really big blunder. They made theirs as like the home of Star Trek. Every Star Trek episode, every, movie was available there. And then they canceled Prodigy and removed it from their platform. It's like, well, now you can't say you have all of it, right? Yeah, Prodigy was kind of my least favorite. I was watching it because it is Star Trek, and my husband and son were enjoying it. So I was watching it and sort of hoping it'll really grow on me, which it hadn't really so far, but whatever. But yeah, then they canceled and removed it, so that kind of sucks for people. But yeah, some people, they're being so, like, they think they're being so edgy of, oh, I'm glad it got canceled because I didn't like it anyway. It's like, well, don't watch it then, right? Like, it doesn't have to be taken away from people who do like it just because you don't. Like, come on. Grow up. That's like, you're acting like a 5-year-old, you know? Like, there's plenty of shows I don't like, and I didn't rejoice when they were canceled. I just didn't watch them. Like, unless you're actually promoting something that harms people, who cares, right? Let people enjoy things. Oh, like I had one time, I shared this one saying, like, can we just, allow people to like their pumpkin spice or their Pokemon or whatever it is, harmless thing that brings them a little joy in this, tough world. And one of my friends just puts on it, no, well, we aren't friends anymore. Not because of that, but that was sort of indicative of why I ended the friendship. Yeah. Yeah, you could have just kept scrolling. Like, yeah, I was in a group one time where somebody was going through a crisis where, they needed support, and somebody decides to go on being like, come on, sort of like, well, this is all your fault, blah, 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 which it wasn't. People get lied to, and it's not their fault. Sometimes it's the fault of the person lying to them, right? But anyway, and, quite a few people were just like, mind your own business, and I was just like, usually I don't say anything, but I just kind of said, you could have just kept scrolling, and she's like, well, I just decided not to. Like, okay, good for you. Like, you're scrolling going, I could say nothing, or I could rub salt in this person's wound. Yeah, I'm going to do the second one. Like, okay, I hope you're proud of yourself. Like, people suck sometimes. Yeah, somebody said, you like to say to people, may you be shown the same compassion that you extend to other people, because that can be a blessing or a curse depending on your own behavior, right? Yeah. Yeah, it only becomes a mean thing to say if you're a mean person, so that's on you. Ooh. So yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to hit half done on this before the end of the year. In fact, maybe even by the end of August, but I'm not setting it as a goal because, yes, the goals just make me stressed. So I stopped doing that. Okay, I think, yeah, there's another color I'm going to put in my tray for now. Yeah, my tray sort of changes colors depending on where I'm stitching right now. It's a lot of reds and browns, and then once we get into the lighter part of the wings, it will be those colors, and then, yeah, once we get back into the tail feathers, we'll be back to the vibrant blues and greens and such. Goodness. Thread was stuck to my sweater and did not want to let go. I had that once. I went to work and then discovered I had, yeah, floss strand where I'd removed like one strand, so 5 of them were left stuck to my pants leg. So I had to come home later and try to figure out which color it was that I'd been using. Or yeah, I had one time I still had some strands left and I couldn't find it anywhere. I was thinking, I just, got this piece and removed one strand from it. Where's the rest of it? And, got up and I was brushing off my clothes and everything, looking on the floor and stuff. And finally, I gave up. I figure it'll turn up sometime. And it did. It was stuck to my son's stuffed animal's face. Yeah. It has this fur that's almost like Velcro-y because it's all matted. And yeah, so it's funny. I said that it was your stuffed dog. He stole it. Yeah, some people say you have to watch if you have cats. They can like to steal it sometimes. Hide it under couches and things. The little rascals. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a cat, but my husband is allergic, so. And I know people say like you can get the hairless cats, but I mean, if I'm getting a pet I want a pet that I can pet, that's fluffy and soft. Yeah. No shade to people who have pets like iguanas and things. It's just not my thing. Yeah. Yeah, they've actually scientifically proven that stroking a pet's fur can lower your blood pressure and help calm you, release sort of the happy hormones in your head. So, yeah. Not that we don't enjoy having, like I said, other kinds of pets too. But, and of course the pets enjoy it too, generally. Yeah, I didn't know before we had our guinea pig that they purr. Oh, that is not right. Oh, yeah. I meant to grab 3787, and I grabbed 3837, which is a completely different color. It's a dark purple, and I went, okay, that's not right. Yeah. Nice having the color on the pattern keeper there can help you catch that right away. I mean, plus I would have kind of wondered why there was a random purple there, although there is some purple up higher on the wings, so yeah, I could have accidentally stitched with that and that would have sucked. Oh dear. I'm trying to smooth this out and instead it made a knot. There we go. Made a knot, but it had a loop, so I was able to pull it apart without damaging it. Just double checking with my grid lines that I'm in the right spot. Because along this edge is shaped pretty similarly, so it could be easy to accidentally start in the wrong place. Especially when I start with a loop start, I find it can be hard to undo, especially when I've started from the front. Yeah, I prefer starting from the front because that saves me the trouble of flipping it to the back, but it does make it more difficult to undo the mistake. A lot of times I just end up cutting the thread into 2 smaller pieces and then working from there, but yeah, I prefer not to do that if I can help it, obviously. Goodness. Fluffy end there. So yeah, if I was insisting on stitching the other direction, I would be changing colors a lot across these runs of colors, so that's why I decided to adapt my stitching method. Yeah, I'm gonna fill in a few random colors along this edge here, and then there's gonna be a whole bunch of that navy in a row, so I'll be able to pick up the pace a little there. Yeah, I got a whole whack ton of threads parked there for when I do the next pass. Yeah, we're getting close to the halfway mark on this pass too. So halfway mark is a few columns over. Yeah, I think I was averaging, I said, about 4 months per pass. So yeah, we still got a ways to go. Oops, just trying to get that color. My thumb is a bit too thick to be precise when it's zoomed out this far. Okay, I have to zoom in a bit further if I want to be able to select accurately. Yeah, I did use a stylus for a while to mark up Pattern Keeper, but then, yeah, I found that it was just adding extra steps to have to pick it up, put it back down, and yeah. And so, yeah, I do get finger marks on my screen, but they're pretty easy to wipe off. So I have a little glasses cleaning cloth that I keep for that. Dump truck going by. Wonder if anybody's doing some landscaping again. Yeah, we had someone who did that a couple of years ago, and they dumped a big pile of gravel right on the road, and then sort of like spray painted and stuck a, neon stick so you'd see it. But it was like, wow, really? Other people need to drive there too, Uh, yeah, I started avoiding that way home because otherwise I'd have to drive on the sort of the wrong side to get around it, and I didn't want to have to be doing that, so took another way home. Okay. Yeah, another color I think I will bring out. Okay, so now a whole bunch of one color. If I could manage to thread my needle, that is. There we go. Oh, we're at 0.40%. So yeah, when I get on a big section like this, I have to sort of remind myself to stop and pause for a second, stretch my arms out so that I don't get sore. Yeah, I find it unfortunately fairly easy to overdo it. Injure myself, and I don't want to do that. Okay, so yeah, we're past 124,000. I think I started this month around 118, 17, something like that, so. What I might actually do is finish this row, park it, and switch colors, even though I don't have to yet. I could keep stitching with this color, but then that way I find saves my arms from being sore, so. So yeah, that's what I often will do, is sort of alternate, break up these bigger blocks by doing some smaller ones that are just like 1 or 2 stitches. Also keeps me from getting bored. Yeah, it really helped me when I was stitching my my piece with the Asian ladies on it. One of the ladies' hair pieces was like 40 different colors. Yeah, like 1 or 2 stitches each. So yeah, I would sort of alternate between doing the black part on her kimono, and then the headpiece, and then yeah, back and forth. It kept me from getting frustrated with all the confetti and bored with the bigger blocks of color. So, all right, so then back to this color for a while. That gave me a little bit of a break. lying a little oddly, but it's the bottom leg, so I don't think it matters as much. Yeah. I'm not really going to see it looking wonky after I stitch the top legs, so. That's a lot of threads. Okay, we'll do maybe one last color run along this edge, and then I think that will be where I take a break. Oh dear, my goodness. Okay, so like around 200 stitches sounds like a lot till you look at it. Yeah. Doesn't cover a huge area. Not quite 200, but pretty close. 14 stitches off. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today, and hope to see you here next time. All right, thanks everyone.